Hello, I alluded to it at the end of the last video, and I finally got around to doing it and actually testing a few leagues with this. This is Underworld Breach in Dredge. When Underworld Breach is not being incorporated into bad combo decks running the card Enlightened Shooter and still managing to win tournaments, it can also be used in Dredge. It leads to some fun lines like turn 1 careful study and then manage to hit a lion's eye diamond off of the dredge of whatever card you put in graveyard with careful study, and then turn 2 underworld breach and you just win the game pretty much. The game just ends. You just mill your whole deck. There's a lot of spicy stuff you could potentially do with Underworld Breach. You could put in a Flame Kinsella, or put in like a Grape Shot, or even a Thassa's Oracle or something. I wasn't thinking of doing any of that here. My thoughts are, how can we maximise the effectiveness of Underworld Breach? The first things you need to think about incorporating a card like this is, one, it costs 2 mana. You can't cast it for 1 mana. That's a problem. That's a problem because Dredge often wants to function off 1 land, and the second land is generally a Cephalid Colosseum. So you generally aren't in a situation where you have 2 lands to just cast Underworld Breach. Also, it doesn't do anything on its own. The one of the great things about Faithless Looting, about Dredge, is that its combo pieces such as Faithless Looting and Careful Study are all A's in the concept. If you think about an A plus B combo deck, generally you need 2 cards. So you need like Entomb and Reanimate, or you need like Show and Tell and Emrakul. Dredge needs 2 of the same card. Dredge just needs Faithless Looting and Faithless Looting. You also need a Dredger, but I mean, you run 12. It's not that hard to get a Dredger. That's a whatever in the deck. It's simple. But you've got multiple cards that do the same thing, and they combo together to win you the game. So it's a true A plus A combo deck, and that's one of the main strengths of the deck. Underworld Breach isn't that. Underworld Breach is a B, because Underworld Breach does nothing if you don't already have a Faithless Looting. To an extent, Breakthrough's kind of like that as well, but when you're running so many A's, having a couple of B's that are as powerful as Breakthrough's not so bad. And Breakthrough, while it's kind of a B, you can sometimes use it as an A if you've got 2 lands, so Breakthrough's just a really versatile card. Underworld Breach, 2 mana, it's a problem. What have we done to try and fit it in? We've got 3 Lotus Petals, so we've got 16 initial mana sources. That's a pretty big deal. That's a lot of mana, and that's because Lotus Petal itself is pretty good with Underworld Breach. You can do a bad Lion's Eye Diamond impression with it, and then hopefully hit a Lion's Eye Diamond and go off. It also just helps to enable Underworld Breach as quick as possible. It also gives you the nut draw of land, Lotus Petal, Lion's Eye Diamond, Underworld Breach, Dredger, and then any draw spell, which just mills your entire deck on turn 1 and lets you cast Cabal Therapy infinite number of times and end the game. That's really strong. You'll see how it plays out, but basically, generally, if Underworld Breach resolves, the game's just over. I haven't thought about putting a Wincon in the deck, because generally, I mean, the deck doesn't run like Dread Return into Flame Kinsella anyway. We just rely on making a bunch of zombies and Cabal Therapying them every card from their hand. It's really easy to Cabal Therapy every card from their hand with Underworld Breach, because you have infinite Cabal Therapies. You just flashback Lion's Eye Diamond and crack it for black, and then you just hard cast Cabal Therapies from your graveyard. You don't even flash them back. You just cast Cabal Therapies until they've got no hand left. What have we cut in order to fit that in? No Putrid Imps. That's deliberate, because Putrid Imp doesn't combo very well with Underworld Breach. You'd rather have loot spells. Lots of Lotus Petals for the enabling the nut draw and enabling us to get to 2 mana quickly. 3 Careful Studies. Careful Studies really good with Underworld Breach. Only 2 Breakthroughs, because Breakthrough is not so good with Underworld Breach, because you can't go turn 1 Breakthrough, turn 2 Underworld Breach. You'd rather have a Careful Study. The list could potentially have some changes. You could cut a petal, put in a Careful Study. These numbers aren't exact. I've sort of made this list, and it was running decent. Good enough. There are potentially other ways you can go. Maybe the deck does need a Wincon. Maybe it does need Thassa's Oracle. I don't know. Maybe that's just a thing that should be in the sideboard. Maybe that's actually better than, say, Ashen Rider in the sideboard. It's kind of a dead card otherwise. Maybe there should be a Flamekin Zealot. Might try that. I don't know. Maybe it's a bit win more. It does let you just end the game in 1 turn though. I don't know. I'll talk about the sideboard a second. Because we've got so many Lotus Petals in the main, we don't need Lotus Petals in the sideboard. Also, there's really not much Surgical online at the moment because it's a really crap card against Underworld Breach. Underworld Breach just laughs at the card Surgical Extraction. Like, you can try and Surgical Lion's Eye Diamond, but it's not easy. And even if you do Surgical Lion's Eye Diamond, they can still combo off with just Lotus Petal. You can't easily Surgical Brain Freeze if they are sensible. It's a bit like trying to Surgical Hogak. It's like, because of the way priority works, it's really awkward to Surgical the cards you actually want to Surgical. And Brain Freeze is an instant. So we've got no Silent Gravestones. There's been a lot of Leyline, mostly to deal with Breach. So we got 6 answers to Leyline. That I was messing around with a different card, and I just put a 6 answer to Leyline in. Just because there's so much Leyline. Maybe 6 is overkill. I think generally 5 is optimal. I think 4 is the minimum answers to Leyline you should run. I like 5 because that's a way of saying I've got 1 more answer to Leyline than you have Leylines, which generally means that if you're mulliganing, you're more likely to see an answer to Leyline than they are to see a Leyline, which is good. That's what you want. 2 Leyline of Sanctities. I was considering going for a 3rd Leyline of Sanctity instead of a 6th answer to Leyline. I've done little testing with 6 Leylines. That's mostly just me wanting to try it out more than anything, so we'll experience that. 4 Leylines for Breach, 1 Dread Return, 1 Iona for Breach and other combo decks. Dread Return, Ashen Rider, and yeah, let's try this out, see how it goes. It's interesting. I've had mixed success with this. I've had a few 03s, I've had a few War 1s. I'm not 5-0 with it yet. It would be nice to get a 5-0. Alright, round 1. Not a keepable hand. Even with 16 mana sources, you do still get hands like this. Yeah, I'll keep this. I'm actually going to bottom the Islet, because I want to have the Gemstone Mine to cast Cabal Therapy, because this hand doesn't really do much else. What's going on here? Sure. The good thing is this hand is very Thought-Knot-Seer proof. Let's play this out, because I don't want this to get wastelanded. Eldrazi Stompy generally does run wasteland. I could cast Cabal Therapy here, take Thought-Knot-Seer, but I'd rather keep the Cabal Therapy if he doesn't have Thought-Knot-Seer. He needs to have exactly another Soul End and a Thought-Knot-Seer. Maybe that's likely. I mean, he didn't have a very powerful turn 1 play, but at the same time, maybe he's just got a Chalice, maybe he's got something else. I'd rather keep the Lotus Petal around, and if I draw a Dredge, I'd be able to discard it to myself than just cast the Cabal Therapy here. And I think we're getting punished. Okay, no, Walking Ballista on one's fine, though that's annoying because it'll take both our bridges. That does mean that their hand doesn't have Thought-Knot Seer, most likely. Okay, there we go. That's what we were hoping would happen. I expect they probably have a Reality Smasher in hand, but there's not really too much we can do about that. Somewhat punished for not playing out the Cephalid Colosseum turn 1 because of the fact that we had to play Gemstone Mine. We could have potentially played cast Cabal Therapy off the pedal, but this lets us Colosseum and Islet next turn, so I think that's okay. Yeah, there's the Reality Smasher I thought was coming. The best thing that happens here is that we dredge and we hit Narcomoeba off the top 5 cards. Wait. Oh, I should have cracked end of turn in case we hit a Icarid there. Actually, that was a mistake. Do I try and high roll the... I think we have to, because if we use Colosseum, we'll hit an Narcomoeba for sure, most likely, unless we're really unlucky. But we'll also potentially hit more bridges, and then we'll only have one dredge. I think it's marginally better to try and crack Fiery Islet here, but we could brick on dredges. But I don't know. Okay, that's really bad. That's like the worst thing that could have happened. We not only bricked on dredges, we didn't hit an Narcomoeba either. That's straight up a mistake. That might have actually given us a window. He shouldn't have cracked that there. Okay. Annoyingly, we can't cast Breach because we don't have enough health or life. We are not dead if we hit. Okay, that's perfect. Though actually no, I think we are dead. Because if we return Hogak, we can't block Endless One. Yep, we are dead. I should have probably just therapied him to see what was in his hand. That was a mistake. So in come these. Out come the careful studies, and the breaches also get worse because of Chalice. Dread Return gets a tad better. I quite like this. One thing I didn't mention was why the Fiery Islet build over the normal mana base. Because we're not running Putrid Imps, because Putrid Imp's not very good with Underworld Breach, I thought the Fiery Islets were just a bit free. However, that does mean we have to play these crappy bounce spells instead of good cards like Wismare that deal with Chalice of the Void plus Leyline easily. the upside of Fiery Islet is probably worth it. I mean, you could potentially also go down a Lotus Petal, go up a Fiery Islet, and then play 14 lands. Yeah, there's a lot you can do. This is a mull. 6 answers to Leyline, but yet we still can't draw any. You can't keep this. You just can't. Even if you draw an answer to Leyline, it's just too slow. Like, we can get better 4s than this. It's got, like, we need to draw exactly land. I mean, I don't want to go lower than this. We've got 6 answers to Leyline in the deck. 1, 2, 3. We're going to get Leylined. We did not get Leylined. Okay. Fair enough. Maybe we're getting Macabre. Or that. Play this out in case we draw a land next turn. If we draw a land next turn, they will probably actually Cabal Therapy ourselves. I don't think that card's a very good card. I don't know why he's running that card. Whoops. Excuse that, I was just opening up my spreadsheets to record this match. Okay. It is marginally better to crack the Colosseum here, I think, because we've got 2 cards we can leave in hand, so we can potentially draw land on loot spell, or we could draw that, which is also very good. I'm not going to mess around here. We have no plans on drawing another land to cast that breakthrough, so I'm just going to do this. So it's quite possible he has Thought-Knots here. Maybe it's correct to just name Thought-Knots here. I could also name Walking Ballista. I'm probably more afraid of Walking Ballista, so I'm going to name Walking Ballista. Okay, he's got Endless One. I mean, I'm not too worried about that. It's annoying, but it's not ideal, and if he doesn't play it out this turn, I can just Icarid name Endless One to protect my bridges. That's probably the correct play. Okay, he casts Endless One, which is good because we can take the Matter Reshaper. Where are my bridges, man? Oh, Leyline of the Void's a problem. He can cast it, but I am not too concerned about him casting that right now. I don't think there's a way for him to cast it next turn. The deck doesn't play Mox Diamond normally. Yeah, that's fine. don't want to block with an Archimever here, so I'm just going to attack with both of these. Got to take Leyline. It would be great if we could hit a bridge. One of the problems with this list is that we are... Oh my god. Wow. Don't know what to say, guys. Don't know what to say. Well, we need to draw land bounce spell. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bounce spells in our graveyard. We have 1 copy of Cura's Dismissal left in the deck. That's a crazy top deck. That was part of the reason why I said not to bounce the Leyline there, was just in case he top decked a second Leyline the turn after, but he drew it the turn after we therapied it out of his hand. Annoying. Okay. So we need this top deck to be exactly land or Cura's Dismissal. That is not going to cut it, but I won't let him know that. Oh, he can just either again. Oh, he didn't. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I guess he's a mana short to activate either again actually. Alright, well that's not going to cut it, so we lose game 1. I think we got very unlucky there, not hitting any bridges, and then him top decking Leyline the exact turn he needed to top deck Leyline on top of having the Urborg, but it happens, that's magic. Alright, match 2, hopefully we can get more lucky this game. What we got? Yeah, this hand's good. It's got Lion's Eye Diamond, Breakthrough, Cephalid Colosseum. I'm going to try and talk about my mulligans a bit more. People asked in the comments to my last video, they say I mulligan too fast, which is true. I play on autopilot sometimes. This is what I mean though, like look at this hand, Underworld Breach does nothing. We don't need it. Like your best hands would never use Underworld Breach, except for when you have the nuts with Underworld Breach, but there's less cards to just have Lion's Eye Diamond Breakthrough than have Lotus Petal, Lion's Eye Diamond Breach. The thing is, the hands that are nuts with Breach are already good. That's my concern with the card. I think it's an interesting card in the deck. I think it has potential, but you definitely don't want 4 copies as well. It's like Breakthrough. It's terrible to draw in multiples. It's like the worst thing ever. I think that's the reason why we've been seeing more people experiment with the Ox, is the Ox is just easier to slot in. Yeah, it does. It's useful when we have our better hands, because we can cast it with the mana that we'd use to cast Faithless Looting, and it's just a bit like a better Faithless Looting. Okay, what is this guy normally playing? I have seen him on 5-colour aggro loam very recently, so I will sideboard for that. This is what I mean, so much ley lines, and it's like, this card's not great against ley lines, because you just, like, you don't have enough resources, really. Like, it's good once you go off, but generally the ley line matchups are just so polarised about Leyline of the Void that everything else is just sort of pales in comparison. I'm just making trims here. I guess I'll take out a Cabal Therapy. Six leyline answers is difficult because you start running out of things to remove when you have 6 answers to leyline. Like, you think, oh, this is great, I'll have all of the answers to leyline, and you saw last game I mulled to 4 and I didn't see any answers to leyline, even with 6 answers to leyline, and it takes up space in the deck, you know, it makes sideboarding hard. And Dredge is not supposed to be some big brain thinking thing like, what the hell is this? We still have 15 sources of mana in our deck. We had to mull that because it had, again, this is a mull. This is a mull. Breakthrough on its own does nothing. This is okay, but I mean, we're very low on cards. 1, 2, 3. This is actually an acceptable hand. This is like not the worst thing I've ever seen. Let's stack this sensibly. Wow, what a surprise, we're getting leylined. Who could have predicted? This is what I mean. 2 out of 2 games, Leyline of the Void. It's everywhere online. Leyline of the Void is sometimes the hardest and sometimes the easiest card to beat. The thing about Leyline is it changes the way the game is played. Are we just dead? Are we just like straight up dead? Is he just going to play Chalice of the Void? Okay. Whew. I was getting concerned for a second there. Well, I mean, he's got a wasteland, but we kind of just have to play into it. We don't really have a choice. Because, I mean, we need to answer the leyline or we can't play Magic, so we need to just hope we draw 2 lands running in a row. I mean, we could have potentially sandbagged the Cephalid Colosseum because it's probably the best land. There's an argument to be made for that, but at the same time we're still no cards in graveyard, you know. It's easier to hope that he just messes up here and doesn't waste us and then we draw a land. Another reason why Wispmare is amazing, I mean, Wispmare wouldn't have been great there, but I mean, you can cast Wispmare through Thalia. How great is that? How amazing is that? Also, he has Containment Priest and Leyline of the Void. I'm unsure if you guys have just seen this. I don't think we're winning this game, guys. I'm just putting that out there. I think this game's probably not going to be going our way. Sorry to warn you about that. I think this game's pretty much over. Sylvan Library is actually a pretty good card against Dredge. Don't tell anyone. It draws you so much card advantage. And really, what Dredge is actually doing is Dredge is just generating tons of card advantage using the graveyard. That's really what the deck does. Like, it has to play all these garbage cards that aren't really very useful, like every card with the word Dredge on it, but you have to play those because the Golgari Grave Trolls draw 6. Of course you do that. Did he just try and put a... Did he just try and put... I think he did. He tried to put a Dryad Arbor into play with the Containment Priest. Ha! Look at this fool and laugh. You can't do that. That's another thing to be aware of. Your opponent can never put a Dryad Arbor into play with a Containment Priest because you don't cast it and it's a creature and it's a non-token creature. Yeah. Okay. We lose. Better not next time. Let's give it another go. Another good thing about While Chains and Kyora's dismissals are worse than Wispmares, the Fiery Islet mana base has an advantage against Leyline decks in that it gives you extra draw spells for when you bounce it. You need less cards after you answer Mulligan. Oh my god! Oh my god, guys, look at that! A playable hand! Wow! I'm gonna bottom the Chain of Vapor. Hope we don't get double ley-lined, though they're kind of the same in that situation. I'm gonna bounce this now and just go for it, because what if he's got turn 1 Chalice, you know? Great top decks, really good. I think we got this one. Unless he's got Containment Priest, haha, kill me. It does feel satisfying to just destroy these leyline decks like that. It really does make me happy. I'm just going to take Containment Priest because that's the card I'm most afraid of. The other option's Scavenging Ooze, but we can somewhat beat Scavenging Ooze. Those other cards are annoying but not unbeatable. Cycle Barrymore, sure. Oh, I just realised he can't cast Thalia's with any of the cards in his hand. Good for us. I didn't think this through either. I should have discarded the other Gari Thug because I didn't notice that we had 3 Icarids in graveyard, because now I've got to eat an Icarid, but that's not the end of the world. But it would have been better to discard the Golgari Thug. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cast this to try and get as many zombies as possible. Yeah, I think we got this nicely locked up now. Easy. Easy. I could do that too. Look at me do that. Kept a bad hand just because it had leyline, and you lost because I had an answer to leyline. Wow, I love the London Mulligan. 5 colour loam. I assume it's the 5 colour version. Okay, well that was a bit better than the previous round. We actually drew what we needed to when we needed to, and we didn't get nut drawed. Like, well, not really nut drawed, but not top decked, I guess. Right. Round 3. This hand does not do anything. I do not cast casting Breakthrough X as 0 as doing something. There are situations where you sometimes want to just cast Breakthrough X as 0 off one land, but with nothing in yard, but they're few and far between. This hand's a keep. Just looking for any red source in this hand's good. It's got Lion's Eye Dome and it's got land. There's a lot of draws that are good here. Any red source, any dredger. Yeah, any red source or any dredger is basically good here. Or another careful study. Okay. Okay, we might get dazed here, but that's a bit whatever. Preordain, put 2 on the bottom. I'm most scared this is breach. That's how much breach there is online right now. I don't think Delver can beat this, so I'm just going to name Underworld Breach. Okay. Well, that, whatever it is, it's not beating a havoc, so... Delver, I will sideboard nothing. Those first 2 hands were moles because they had no lands. This is a keep because it's got everything we need except a dredger. I will put... I don't want to lose too many Cabal therapies, so I'm going to put a bridge and a Cabal therapy on the bottom. That way we know we have 3 therapies and 3 bridges. Best draw here is a dredger, the second best draw is any... I mean, sure, let's get some force of wills. Force of negation on LED. That's one of the advantages of having a Lotus Petal there, it somewhat forces the... So you have loads of good draws here, we have any dredger, we have another land. Okay, we get none of that. Discard these 2, I think. The advantage of keeping the Cabal therapies, if we get wastelanded here, we can top deck a land and therapy ourselves. If we draw a dredger. Okay, well Tormod's Crypt kind of sucks, but what can you do? I might sideboard in Right, sideboard in a ley line of Sanctity or two. Okay, there's the dredge we need. Must have multiple lightning bolts in hand then, I expect. What? I didn't mean to just pass that there, but I didn't draw anything, so it's fine. Oh, it's not going well, lads. I think even if I draw a land now, I'm just going to discard to hand size. I think that's honestly the strongest thing we can be doing. Okay, that's fine. That's actually a good draw. Best draw after that is land. Not land, but Grave Troll's a good card. Oh no, not my grave trolls. Whatever will I do? Okay, so because I've seen the surgical, it's probably not worth bringing in Leyline of Sanctity, because I now know he's not just on like he's not just on like 4 crits or something stupid. Sometimes you get people like that. I think we're actually still in a pretty good spot here. Unless he flips his Delvers next turn, in which case we're not in a good spot. Please do not flip your Delvers, but I expect he will. He did not. He shuffled Ponders and didn't flip his Delvers. Poor bloke. I'm surprised he didn't crack the fetch after the first one missed. But maybe he wanted to draw whatever the top card was. Oh my gosh. If this resolves, I am not going to cast. Okay. Best hope is top deck Gemstone Mine, and I hope he doesn't cast a Pyroblast in his hand for some reason. I'm unsure. Okay. Let's just do this for the laughs. I am conceding the game. Alright, let's try this again. Right, let's see what we got. No lands, even though it's got lands, I don't know Faithless Looting, that's a mulligan. It's only got one Faithless Looting. Lotus Petal's not great. This is a mulligan. You ideally want multiple things that do stuff versus Delver. This is good. This is good. We'll bottom Icarid and Cabal Therapy. If we get Wastelanded, this kind of sucks, which is a problem with Breach, but that'd be a problem if we had a second looting here. Not that we could run 5 lootings. Bottom. He's a mulliganing low. Nice. Second breach, lads. Now, the thing is, right, there's an argument to be made that it's better to just crack Colosseum because it can't get dazed and then lead to us ending up in a situation where they do something like land, pass, daze our thing, Wasteland does offer after cantripping. There's definitely an argument for that. How ballsy are we feeling? Do we just play it safe? I think it's best to just play it safe, honestly. Like, they've clearly probably got some kind of permission or something, and I don't want to have to deal with that, you know. This is just sidesteps all their counter spells. The way he's playing makes me think he's got a surgical, but that's fine. There's nothing too good to surgical here, to be honest. Yeah, it's fine. I'll probably take Dreadhorde Arcanist. He left a bridge from below. by mistake. That might just prompt a shame concede. People don't know that they need to click the card they try to exile with surgical. I guess Breach would have been better against him having surgical there. But I mean, I guess this is about to get... Okay, brainstorm. Lightning bolt, I think. See, you could have dazed my Underworld Breach there, and then wastelanded me, which is the exact line I was scared of. So if he'd have like, in response to Breach, cast Brainstorm if he didn't have a daze, found daze, dazed it, then wastelanded me, that would have just been the worst on top of a surgical. So the play we made there was correct. No wasteland anymore. He'd be in a much better spot if he'd have actually took that last bridge from below. He might even be ahead at this point, but he didn't, so. Especially since we had to bottom an Icarid. I kind of don't like running 3 Icarids very much for that reason. Oh yeah, he shuffled our deck. Doesn't matter, haha. Forgot about that. He's dead. Have him dead on board. And that wasn't too bad. My opponent messed up there, but we got the win. Sorry, I forgot I was recording this. I kept this 7, and it's my opponent's turn. Almost just started playing a game. I was on autopilot. This hand's alright. I mean, it's got Lion's Eye Diamond, it's got Fiery Islet, and it's got 2 lands and Underworld Breach. Maybe that's fine. I don't know. Ideally, we want something turn 1, but I mean... Oh, God. Okay. A relief. That whistle probably came out terrible on the mic. I apologise to everyone's ears. LED is going to get countered, and suddenly this hand doesn't look very good. Maybe I should have just discarded to hand size there. That was probably a mistake, actually. I wasn't really thinking. Yeah, it was probably a mistake. I'm not thinking very well at the moment. I should think more. I might just pass with the intention of discarding to hand size next turn, because we are frankly doing nothing. As long as Delver doesn't flip, I think we're in an okay spot here. If Delver flips is when we have a problem. Yeah, I haven't played this game very well, but according to my spreadsheet, Blue-Black Death Shadow is the best matchup for Dredge by like an insane margin. Like, it's like Blue-Black Death Shadow's like the easiest matchup, then it's like Grixis Control, and then it's like Miracles, I think. It's it's please don't be a fucking Ashiok. Oh, don't, no swearing, no swearing. PG. PG. Ashiok is worthy of swearing, however. He might just not have a counterspell, in which case we just end the game with Underworld Bridge. That'd be funny. I have been main deck Ashioked by Delver players before. I think that was in paper though, and not online. People do some wacky stuff in paper. Online, I feel like I can expect the meta game. In paper, I play against all sorts. Shuffle, shuffle, and admit you have no answers. Yeah, I'm cool with that. This is probably going to get dazed and I'm going to be sad, but what can you do? Very little. Alright, so if we lose this, it's because we played like clowns. If this resolves... oh wow. Oh no. Poor bloke. I don't really want to eat any of this stuff. Dare I say... I think it's correct to eat those three, but I don't really like it. Yeah, that was what I was scared was going to happen, but the good thing is we can just cast this again. That's why I didn't want to exile the Dredger, but I also didn't want to exile Hogak or a Bridge or a Cabal Therapy, so I was somewhat in a bind there. But yeah, this game's very much over now. I'm going to flash back a careful study because I don't actually want to exile all of the... I don't want to... the max number of cards I want to dredge is 2, so I don't want to end up drawing cards because that's just bad. I'm going to dredge 2 Stinkweed Imps. I'm going to give myself some breathing room. You can pretty much deck yourself, but I do like to try and give myself a few more turns if needs be. I'm not going to cast this with Escape, I'm just going to cast with Flashback. If I need to cast multiple Cabal Therapies, because he casts like Brainstorm or something, I'm going to name Brainstorm. Okay. Cast, I don't want to cast with Escape. No, I don't want to cast with Escape. Just take Thoughtseize. I'm just going to make so many zombies that I still win through Plague Engineer. Whoops. There's not really any reason not to just make all of the zombies here. Eat an Underworld breach. Whoops. Eat a Narcomoeba. I don't know why he's not scooping. Perhaps because he's... There we go. So the big brain play against Death Shadow is you just don't sideboard. You just don't sideboard. I've tried sideboarding in the past. Maybe if they've got like... If I see like 4 Nihil spell bombs or something crazy in game 2, or like 3 Nihil spell bombs, I'll bring in the Leyline of Sanctity because it also turns off the discard, but this matchup you really don't need it. You can beat multiple pieces of crypt effects from this deck. It's just working on an axis that cannot deal with Dredge at all. I don't know if it's just a case of the people that play this deck also aren't very experienced at the format, because it tends to be more of a magic deck, so they don't really know how to deal with Dredge as well. I don't know, but this matchup's just, I find, very good for Dredge. I mean, I played like a clown there and I still managed to win. Albeit it's game 1, but... this is a mole. This does nothing, albeit we could discard to hand size at the end of the first turn, but because they run discard, that's not reliable, and this doesn't have enough redundancy. Again, a mulligan. Sometimes these decks do run Leyline, actually. Now, with the current state of the London Mulligan. I did warn everyone. Blue decks with Leyline. People laughed. People laughed when I said blue decks are going to be running Leyline with the London Mulligan. Why wouldn't they? It's so easy to get Leyline, and Leyline's just the best grave hate. Why wouldn't they run Leyline with the London Mulligan? And now we're starting to see it. They're starting to work it out. So I warned you, this is good because it's got 3 pieces of stuff. Bottom that, bottom that. We're starting to see it. Another thing I think we'll see happen, we'll start seeing decks running 1 of Leyline of the Void. People don't like doing that. Oh, okay, whatever. People don't like doing that, but I think it's good. I'm not going to scoop because we got Fiery Islet in the deck and we can do silly things with Lion's Eye Diamond. I'm actually going to keep the Narcomoeba because it's a creature we can cast. Having 2 breakthroughs is like really not useful, so I'll just ditch a breakthrough. I think I'm going to dredge the Grave Trial next turn, and because we've got a play when we want to. That's fine. He'll probably take Breakthrough, but the correct take's Narcomoeba. But don't tell him that. Yeah, so we want to dredge so that if he does kill the Narcomoeba, we can possibly hit a bridge from below. We didn't hit a bridge from below, which is annoying. But the plus side is, if we'd have drawn there, we'd have just drawn an Narcomoeba, so we didn't lose very much. Maybe he's got Surgical and he's thinking about Surgicaling the Narcomoeba because we've got an Narcomoeba in hand. Well, the good thing about bricking on dredges, yeah, fine. The good thing about bricking on dredges is that means that we can't dredge, and we kind of don't want to dredge because we want to draw a card. So now I don't have to think, which is a good thing. Because I don't like thinking, that's why I play dredge. Yeah. Ooh. Ooh. 1, 2, 3, 4. We can't quite hardcast a Grave Troll, but we're getting close. I think I'm just going to cast this now because this isn't getting any better, and they might discard it. We want to draw one more land and we can hardcast Grave Troll, which will be good. Won't be especially big, it'll only be 1, 2, 3, and whatever we hit. We're going to take some damage from this. Ouch. Oh, he just did that to lose some life. Sure. Ouch. Right. Okay. This made things a little bit more difficult. Maybe the correct play now is to try and get a Stinkweed Imp, because we won't be able to get a Grave Troll bigger than this. I think that's what I'm going to try and do. So if we crack, I'm not actually very accustomed to the math for this. We can dredge a bunch and then play a Golgari Thug, and then that can block the Death Shadow. That might actually be better. Just dredging a bunch and then playing a Golgari Thug so he can't swing. But that would mean that we can't play a Stinkweed Imp the turn after. That we lose too many lands doing that. I think that's probably a bad play. I like this play because this lets us play a Golgari Thug and also gives us a blocker he has to deal with. The mana colour we use doesn't really matter though. And this is good because next time we can return Golgari Thug and start casting Golgari Thug. Yeah, this is actually looking pretty good. This is the problem, they get themselves so low on life and they're like, haha, but then they're so low on life they just die to trash like this. Like, this is so, to lose to this is pathetic, given the board state, but it's really realistic. Like, I chances are we're probably going to lose this game, I expect. But the fact that we're in a situation where, like, you look at this board and it's like, this probably isn't a favourable position for him right now, even though he's got a cage and a 9/9 Death Shadow. Not Shuffle's scary. What is this? Wow. Alright, well, he had the removal spell that doesn't actually kill, so what can you do? I'm just going to run it back. I'm not messing around with that nonsense. Don't care. You caged me, don't care. Don't care. That was frustrating, to say the least. I thought we were going to steal that one. I really genuinely did, but it's whatever, it happens. It's part of the playing the deck. Echoing Truth though, man. That's crazy. Yeah, I would like to play first. I don't like that though. Yeah, hands do nothing, turn one, generally a mole, unless they got Lion's Eye Diamond in, in which case they're sometimes a keep. This is not a keep. We gotta put. We don't really have much choice here. We gotta put this on the bottom. Not sure we're gonna win this. Expect he probably has a Grafdigger's Cage given he keeps 7. It's possible he has a Surgical or something. Listen, look at me talking up how great this matchup is. I'm going to lose. That being said, this isn't a standard list. It lacks Putrid Imps. Yeah. Not a standard list. No Putrid Imps. Putrid Imp's really good in the matchup. Putrid Imp's like insanely good in the matchup. Because when it becomes a 2-2, when they get themselves low on life, it's such a big clock. I'm offering the trade here because I'd rather trade a Golgari Thug for something that's going to clock me for 3 each turn. If he swings, I'll make the trade. Ouch. I'm gonna try and draw a land here. Sadly does nothing to Underworld Breach. I'll offer the trade again, leave one on blocks just because I don't want to get swung at for 3. Wow. Right. You got like the 2 best cards 2 games in a row. Not sure we're winning this one. Frustrating. Normally this is a very good matchup. I think the lack of Putrid Imps is really hurting us here. As well as Breach just not being a very good card against Death Shadow. It costs 2 mana, it gets countered. We're less threat dense than other lists because we got lots of Lotus Petals. It's not the best. I want a land. No Ashiok. Okay. That suggests to me he's got a reanimate. I mean, it'll do. Yeah, we're dead. We'll go to 1 and then we can't do anything. Ugh, frustrating. Time for round 3. Oh, sorry, round 3, round 5. This is actually a keep on the draw. If they go blue land, we can just discard Grave Troll. If not, we can just go absolutely crazy. If there wasn't a Lotus Petal, this would be a mull. I would never keep a hand on, or even on the draw, unless I knew what I was against, and I knew that they weren't a blue deck. I wouldn't keep a hand like this, but because you've got Lotus Petal, that means that you've got Cephalid Colosseum, Lion's Eye Diamond, and you can then do a looting afterwards as well, provided you hit a looting. I'm just going to make that play. I'll show you what I mean. Oops. Gotta crack this first for red. Don't need to crack the LED for red, than that for blue, because we don't have Ox in the deck. I was going to say it looks like we're not hitting any Faithless Lootings, but we actually did just then, which was lucky. Hopefully we can hit a Cabal Therapy as well. Hitting a second Narcomoebe is acceptable. What's the worst card for them to have in hand? Probably Goblin Crater Maker's most annoying. That they play in consistent numbers, just because it exiles our bridges. If they had an extra land, I'd name Goblin Matron. Okay, Jump Arm Incinerator and Munitions Expert's fine. Can Jump Arm Incinerator... Oh, it can kill his own creatures, sure. Don't know why you'd want to, but that's an option to him. No Arid Mesa. If you swing, I'm trading. Golgari Thug, Golgari Thug, and Golgari Thug. Sure. Now, I'm definitely bringing in the chains. I will bring in some number of Cura's Dismissal, because the most popular Goblins grinders on MTGO have started playing Leyline of the Void. And I will cut an Underworld Breach, Careful Study, and Lotus Petal. I'm not sure I want to go up to to 5 answers to leyline because they might not be on ley lines, but I think 4 is good enough. Generally they aren't running the full play set of ley lines either, they're generally on like 3 ley lines, so 4 answers to leyline is generally good enough. If I had another chain I might consider going up to 5 answers because chain just is a good catch-all answer to everything. That's kind of what I like about chain, is that it can just answer everything while also being castable off of Cephalid Colosseum, which is the biggest bonus to playing chain over something like Nature's Claim. I don't think Nature's Claim's a terrible card, just the ability to cast it off a blue land, obviously in this deck being able to cast off a blue land's a big deal. I'm going to keep this because even though this isn't a great hand, it does have an answer to leyline and it can do stuff, so it beats hate and does stuff, which is like criteria to keep in game 2. Especially since I know what he's on and this isn't getting countered, and we've got a draw step to draw more gas, and the deck's still pretty stacked of stuff. I mean, we only took out 2 breach, we still have all of the careful studies in the deck. Our chances of drawing it, and there we go, there's the ley line. The chances of drawing something good. Now the other thing about, oh my god, that's a yikes. When he tapped it for black, I was like, no way are you thought seizing me. And he just thought seizes me, just like that. This just makes me sick. What do I want to take? I presume I want to do this. But then the thing's, what do I want them to lose? I don't want to name anything he plays on turn 2, but I might get ported. I'm just gonna name Goblin Matron. That's like the most annoying card because it finds all the best cards. Yeah, Thoughtseize plus Leyline, man. This is just... And then we're going to get Wastelanded. So yikes. Oh. Oh wow, even worse. Okay, wow, that's like the best draw possible for him there. Jeez, I don't think we're winning this game. At least we know, yes, he is on ley lines, and yes, he will also Thoughtseize you as well. Common Pile Driver, yeah, sure. Oh nice, he has one of the best goblins against us as well. We are definitely not winning this game now. Especially not with port. Like, even if we draw land. I'm just going to cast this now because we need to draw a second land to not get ported. I'm just going to discard 2 Stinkry Nymphs because we've got 3. Normally I wouldn't have cast Looting there, but because I know he's got a Rishadan port, which kind of means that we need to draw answer and second land because he'll just keep porting our 1 land so he can never go off after we answer the ley line. Yeah. So yes, he does have ley lines. In come the last 2 ley line answers. Taking out Lotus Petals just because it's not really about going fast when they have ley lines. Sometimes it's nice to have the extra mana source, but they're not a Chalice deck, so it's not that big of a deal. Underworld Breach, again, does nothing if they have leyline in hand. At least the loot spells draw us into stuff, and we have no guarantee on hitting 2 lands when we need to find an answer to leyline and a hand that does something as a priority, and Breach does nothing on its own, so yeah, that's the reason why the Petals and the Breaches are coming out here. I mean, it's got an answer to leyline. It's not ideal, but if we draw a land, it's fine. I'll keep. If we don't draw a land on the second turn, I'm probably just going to go off with Breakthrough because we can't really wait around and try and draw a second land very easily. Ideally we draw a second land here, or an LED, but if we don't, just going to break through X's 0. I normally don't like this play, but given that he can potentially hard cast ley lines, we just need to try and get slow dredging as soon as possible. And yeah, we wouldn't have drawn a mana source for a while. Normally I don't like casting Breakthrough X's 0, I'd rather either wait and draw another loot spell, or draw another land. But the reason is that he can just recast the ley line, and they have a lot of lands, so that's a conceivable thing that's not that hard for them to do. The worst thing that happens here is he plays a Goblin Crater Maker out, because then he threatens to get rid of our bridges, because we've got 3 in the graveyard already, because our opening hand had 3 in them. Yeah, it's not ideal, but I don't think this game is... Provided we have a little bit of luck on the dredges, I think this is a winnable game. His hand seems very slow, he's probably got like Goblin Matrons or something. That is amazing, I think we might have just won the game off that dredge. What is this? Is he going to Munitions Expert target itself? Oh my god. Oh my god. In that case, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just pass the turn. That is abysmal for us. So, okay. Well, we need to take the Ley Line of the Void from his hand. And I also kind of want to take the Goblin Matron as well. And I also kind of want to take the Goblin Crater Maker. I think I'm just going to take the Goblin Matron. I could just take what he tutors up, but he might tutor up something like 1-drop, like a Skirt Prospector or something. I don't want to mess around with that stuff, so I will just not. No idea what the last card in his hand is. We're going to take some damage. We ideally want to hit a second land and cast the we want to cast the Hogak. Problem is, our last bridge is now just gone. Yeah, there we go, there goes our last bridge. I don't want to eat an Icarid, but I might have to. Geez, he is drawing like perfectly. That's really bad for us. I think I kind of have to just... The best draw here is LED. I think I have to just eat the Icarid here. I don't think I really have much of a choice. If he's sensible, he'll sack the Crater Maker, shoot the Icarid now, which he's going to do. But we're somewhat forced to make this play because we're on 7 as well. Yeah, having all 3 bridges there was really unlucky. The best draw here is the Lion's Eye Diamond, which we don't draw. I think we've lost. I don't think we've got any outs unless we draw exactly Lion's Eye Diamond. Oh, and the Caracas answers the Hogak, which is just absolutely great. Yep, we're not winning that one. That's frustrating. This is one of the problems with bounce spells against Leyline. Like, as you saw in multiple games there, the fact that we were able to bounce wasn't ideal. Even though we had the answer to Leyline, it potentially allows them to replay Leyline. You prefer for them not to be able to recast it. We were priced into just taking Leyline out of their hand, albeit we got unlucky in other ways, but yeah, not ideal. We got screwed over multiple times this league because of that. Actually, I think the other time we got screwed over was top deck leyline. Yeah, we just got a bit unlucky. I'm happy with the 2-3 from that. It is what it is. Let's do a bit of cleaning up and talk about what we thought of the deck. Right, what did we think of it? Underworld Breach at times won us games, but I don't think it won us any games that we weren't winning otherwise. I mean, against game 1 against Blue Black Death Shadow, it won us the game, but at the same time, if it was a loot spell or something, it probably would have won us the game as well. It got sided out a lot, especially in the leyline matchups. There was one game where we could have played it and we didn't, and if we had played it, we'd have lost that game. But that's Delver casting spells, and we had to have used Cephalid Colosseum instead. Yeah, it wasn't terrible. I think there's definitely potential there with the card. The problem is just finding the right build for it, and also the fact that it costs 2 mana. The power's definitely there. It is pretty much 2 mana, you win the game. But then the problem is 2 mana, you win the game is not that great when generally careful studies 1 mana almost win the game, and breakthrough is 1 mana win the game. Being 2 mana definitely win the game provided you have other cards isn't so great. It lacks a bit of versatility. It doesn't dig. It doesn't do the things that Breakthrough X's 1 could do in a pinch. The Islet mana base, it's alright. There's 6 answers to leyline. I mean, we saw a lot of leyline in the leagues. It felt justified given how much leyline we played against. Yeah, it went okay. I think there's definitely some potential here. It's certainly a fun deck if you like memes and you like comboing off and you like playing Dredge. It lets you play Dredge and then also just combo off. You could even put in something spicy. You could put in a Flamekin Zealot and hardcast it. You could do all sorts. The potential's there. Have some fun with it, you know. This is just trying to make the most of Underworld Breach, and then not worry about having extra win cons, because generally just it wins the game anyway. But there's some, I think there's definitely some potential there. But this list is all right. I have done okay with this list in the past. I've had a few 4-1s and a 0-3 or 2, but I've had multiple 4-1s, I think, and multiple 0-3s, so take of that what you will. I guess that evens out to 50-50 when you think about it. The list's fun. It's something different. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. If you come up with some spicy breached lists, post them in the comments, I guess. Yeah, hope you enjoyed it.